Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the lore of the Imperial Guard. We're going to be talking about a specific regiment called the Mordant Acid Dogs. I hope you guys enjoy this, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. And if you're new to the channel, again, check out the video list. We have a huge archive of just a bunch of lore on Warhammer 40K, so check us out. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Mordant Acid Dogs. The Mordant Acid Dogs are the regiments of the Astra Militara, raised from the mining world of Mordant Prime, located in the Segmentum Obscurus. The Mordant Acid Dogs specialize in subterranean tunnel fighting. They are typically deployed to combat zones where the Imperial High Command wishes to take advantage of their natural affinity for dark and confined spaces. The harsh conditions of their world breed extremely tough and resilient warriors, who are perfect for conscription into a military force of the Imperium. Mordant Prime is a world situated to the galactic north of the Eye of Terror, and is known for the mining of bioluminescent bacteria from which a unique, highly corrosive acid is extracted. Mordant is also classed by the Adeptus Terra as a night world, a planet that sees no sunlight, and its surface is a barren wasteland, totally unfit for human habitation. The only reason humanity exists at all on this world is to mine the strains of luminescent bacteria that grow beneath the surface, so that it can be refined into the potent acid that has many different industrial uses, including the manufacture of Bane wolf chem cannons. Over the millennia, this process has formed a vast chain of caverns and tunnels that connect across the entire world. Within these tunnels, Mordant mining clans extract the bacteria, culturing it in vast cavern vats to bleed off the most corrosive acids known to the Imperium. These extracts are shipped to forge worlds across the sector, where they find all manners of exocentric fabrication processes. After countless generations of living in mining warrens and working with the potent bioacid, mutations have begun to plague the populace of Mordant Prime. Any such mutants discovered on the planet are promptly dissolved in the same acid that helped create them, either at birth or when their deformity first appears. Few regiments of the Imperial Guard harbor a greater disgust towards abominations of the flesh than the Mordant Acid Dogs. The peoples of Mordant can be split into two broad categories: the acid miners and everyone else. The miners are organized into an ancient clan structure and have total control over their business. They exploit cheap local labor, paying the workers barely enough to survive in the run-down shanty caverns they call home. Many of the disenfranchised citizens of Mordant turn to a life of organized crime, and gang violence is the only authority acknowledged amongst many of the deeper settlements. Only the skilled miners, who are part of the ancient organization of Mordant mining clans, do not suffer from the extreme poverty experienced by the majority of the populace. The Mordant Acid Dog regiments draw their conscripts from those unfortunate wretches who can no longer tolerate the harsh life of their world and a horrid living condition, or from those who have earned the dire wrath of one of the many criminal gangs. Mordant troopers display a trait common of many of their kin, the carrying of additional equipment into a war zone. Mordant units are notorious scroungers, and they often scrounge off Departamental Minitorum supply units, who dread requisitions from the quartermaster after coming in contact with a Mordant unit. Mordant troopers routinely search out and utilize any additional war gear they can carry, and as such are masters in the use of all manner of equipment rarely used by other Imperial Guard infantry troops. Most notably, some Mordant regiments scrounging off war gear carries over or mutates into the taking of trophies from the enemy. This is a trait only practiced amongst the Mordant units, and is likely caused by the excessive combat stress under which the troopers often operate. Also likely is that the trophy taking is the result of some deeper spiritual meaning brought on by extended contact with enemy forces tainted by the dark gods. One of the most notable Mordant Acid Dog regiments was the Lucky 13s. Raised in the 37th millennium, the 13th Mordant the so-called Lucky 13s, was one of the 43 regiments raised to take part in the Imperial Crusade against the Black Crusade of Jaihar the Lacerator. This regiment was raised as part of a larger muster brought about by a particular reading of the Emperor's Tarot. This reading, carried out by a senior sanctioned psyker attached to the staff of the Cadian High Command, it spoke of the coming of one whom the dead fear above all else. So it was the 13th that trained intensively for the day they would be dispatched to fight one of humanity's most deadly foes. Despite not having a clue what they might be facing, the 13th Mordant was well versed in the ways of mutants, and had participated in a number of purges, verging the Sentinel worlds, gaining invaluable combat experience in the process. The 13th was trained and equipped as assault pioneers, proficient in the use of such engineering stores as breaching charges, stumners, flamers, and the like. Since their resounding success, the Acid Dog regiments have often been called upon for scouring Imperial worlds on which signs of mutation have begun to show. Colonel Bane was the commanding officer of the 13th Mordant, having served in the Mordant Planetary Defense Force for many years before being promoted to service as an officer within the Imperial Guard, and was proficient in small unit actions against the private armies maintained by the smugglers and criminal syndicates of his world. Furthermore, while detached from the 13th Mordant, he had served in an assault group that put down a mutant uprising in the Scarus sector, leading the attack on the mutant overlord's hive lair and ending the uprising. Bane was therefore judged the ideal commander to lead an assault against the mutants of the Gloom Worlds, and whose superior briefed him to seek out and engage the enemy leadership as his highest priority. And those were 40 facts on the Mordant Acid Dogs. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you or a friend want to start collecting Imperial Guard but don't want to go with the Cadian Regiment, this regiment is awesome for you, or at least to experiment with. The lore behind them is really good, so if you want to create your own Imperial Guard regiment, use these guys as a template. I guess the thing when creating an Imperial Guard regiment is first you want to kind of understand where that regiment is coming from. So what is their home planet and what is the environment like in the home planet? In this situation, it's a dark world. It's a world that we actually haven't talked about yet within the channel, but it's a world devoid of light, or at least maybe the actual world doesn't rotate, so there's no light on one side. The really crucial thing in most Imperial Guard regiments is what does the world do to the actual Imperial Guard regiment that makes them different than your regular Cadian Guard. So once you guys have a base for that, then you can branch off and start exploring more about your or start exploring what makes unique or what makes your Imperial Guard regiment unique. But again, if you just want to go ahead and go with the Mordant Acid Dogs, you can definitely do that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, watching these videos. It's really fun to talk about the lore of worlds through the eyes of an Imperial citizen, because it is through our eyes, basically. The most shocking part of this, well, not shocking to me, but the most grotesque part of this lore is the fact that mutants are killed from, birth, which means that if you have a small birth defect, you're going to be killed in this world if you're born on Mordant, because then that's going to be seen as a defect, or as a mutation. It could be chaotically tainted when in reality, you might just have one more toe, because that's life. That's what's happening. But it's pretty crazy to think that they're killing babies basically. When we do our Imperial citizen videos, I always get a comment saying 40K is not this gruesome or this grim dark. Yeah, it is. The 40K universe is not your Star Wars universe. It's not your Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Warhammer 40K universe is crazy, sick, and dark. So be prepared for that. If you guys have any suggestions for other topics of Warhammer 40K, please comment down below. One thing that I wanted to ask you guys, I've been noticing on the GW store, I don't know if it's because of the holidays or what's going on, but the Imperial Guard Cadian regiments are no longer in stock. They're out of stock. Now, they still have the starter set, I believe, or they might already have gone out of stock of the starter set, but it's completely gone, which is it's kind of weird to me. You would think that they would stock the Imperial Guard regiments because they are fairly popular. Or is it that we're just phasing out of these Acadian Guard and moving on to something else? And if that's the case, do you guys know of any rumors or anything? If you do, comment down below. I've noticed that with most armies, what happens is certain units will start going out of stock and then they'll phase them out. Kind of like the Kroots. I feel like the Kroot are going away for the Tau. But again, if you guys know of any rumors for a new regiment coming up, comment down below. And thanks for everything, guys. If you like our videos and you like what we do, support us on Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos. If you can't, we understand. Simply by liking, commenting, and sharing, you're telling YouTube that you guys like our content and you want to see more. So it really helps out the channel when you do that. With that said, I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.